a second lawsuit, $77 million, and allegations reaching back nearly a decade, involving one of the most powerful figures in Hollywood. Tyler Perry, a billionaire filmmaker known for building his own studio empire, is now facing another sexual assault lawsuit. And the details are raising serious questions about power, influence, and accountability in the entertainment industry. This case isn't about a courtroom verdict. At least, not yet. It's about what's being alleged, why it matters, and how a familiar Hollywood pattern may be repeating itself once again. And one detail in this lawsuit changes how the entire story is being viewed. The lawsuit that reignited the conversation. According to publicly filed court documents, actor Mario Rodriguez has filed a lawsuit seeking $77 million in damages, alleging that Tyler Perry subjected him to repeated unwanted advances over several years. The complaint claims these incidents occurred after Perry allegedly suggested he could help Rodriguez's acting career, including dangling the possibility of a role in the 2016 film Boo, a Madea Halloween. It's important to be clear here. These are allegations, not proven facts. Perry has denied the claims through his legal team. But the timing matters, because this is not the first lawsuit making similar accusations. Just months earlier, another man filed a separate case, also alleging that Perry used his significant industry influence to create what that lawsuit described as a coercive and exploitative dynamic. Two lawsuits, similar themes, and a growing spotlight. How the relationship allegedly began. According to the new complaint, Rodriguez says the initial contact didn't happen through an agent or casting office, but through a chance encounter at a gym in 2014. Rodriguez alleges that a trainer at an Equinox gym told him that Tyler Perry wanted his phone number to discuss potential acting opportunities. Shortly after, Perry allegedly encouraged Rodriguez to audition for a role, reportedly telling him, "I'm not a bad person to know and have in your corner." On its own, that statement could mean many things. In Hollywood, mentorship and networking are common, but the lawsuit claims the relationship later crossed professional boundaries. Allegations of private meetings. The complaint alleges that Perry later invited Rodriguez to his Los Angeles home. According to Rodriguez, while watching a movie, Perry allegedly touched him inappropriately. The lawsuit further claims that similar incidents occurred in 2016, 2018, and 2019, describing a pattern rather than a single event. Again, these details are presented without graphic description, and they remain allegations until tested in court. But what stands out is how the lawsuit frames the situation, not as a misunderstanding, but as a repeated misuse of power. And that brings us to one of the most critical moments in the complaint. The statement that became central to the case. According to the lawsuit, during one alleged encounter, Rodriguez attempted to remove himself from the situation. At that point, Perry allegedly made a statement suggesting long-term financial and personal security in exchange for compliance. The wording, as cited in the complaint, is being presented as evidence of coercion rather than consent. Perry's legal team has strongly denied this characterization. But in cases like this, context becomes everything. Because in Hollywood, power doesn't just come from money. It comes from access. Why power dynamics matter. Here, Tyler Perry is not just a filmmaker. He owns one of the largest film studios in the United States. He has created billion-dollar franchises, and he is widely regarded as one of the most influential figures in entertainment. That imbalance between a global media mogul and an aspiring actor is central to how this lawsuit is being framed. Legal experts often note that in cases involving alleged misconduct, power dynamics can complicate consent, especially when career opportunities are involved. And this lawsuit explicitly leans into that argument. The Lionsgate connection. The complaint doesn't stop with Perry. It also alleges that Lionsgate, the studio behind several Madea films, ignored signs of misconduct. The studio has not admitted wrongdoing, and no legal conclusions have been reached. But including a major corporation elevates the case beyond a personal dispute. It suggests a broader question. Who is responsible for intervening when powerful figures are accused of misconduct? And that question has echoed through Hollywood before. Perry's response. Through his attorney. Tyler Perry's attorney, Alex Spiro, has categorically denied the allegations. In statements to the media, Spiro described the lawsuit as a money grab and pointed out that both recent plaintiffs share the same lawyer. Spiro also referenced an earlier case, saying that similar claims had failed previously. However, the plaintiff's attorney, Jonathan Delshad, has disputed that characterization, stating that earlier claims remain active after procedural changes. So at this stage, both sides are firmly entrenched, and the legal process is just beginning. Why this case is getting so much attention? This lawsuit isn't drawing attention simply because of its dollar amount. It's drawing attention because of timing, pattern, and reputation. Tyler Perry has long been publicly associated with philanthropy, mentorship, and advocacy. In 2020, he famously offered Prince Harry and Meghan Markle a home in Los Angeles, later saying he wanted to help because no one else would. That public image now exists alongside serious allegations, creating a stark contrast that many are struggling to reconcile. And this is where the story becomes less about one individual and more about an industry reckoning. A familiar Hollywood pattern, without jumping to conclusions. For many observers, this lawsuit feels familiar. Not because the names are the same, but because the structure is. A powerful figure, an aspiring performer, an alleged promise of access, and claims that professional boundaries became blurred behind closed doors. Over the past decade, Hollywood has repeatedly been forced to confront how informal power structures operate, especially in spaces where careers are built on personal relationships rather than transparent systems. That doesn't mean every allegation is true, but it does explain why these cases are often taken seriously from the moment they're filed. Because history has shown that silence can be structural, not accidental. Why these cases rarely end quickly. One reason this lawsuit is likely to unfold slowly is complexity. Cases involving alleged misconduct tied to career influence often hinge on private conversations, lack of witnesses, conflicting recollections, and interpretations of intent. That means the legal process becomes less about a single moment, and more about patterns, credibility, and consistency over time. Attorneys on both sides are expected to scrutinize timelines, communications, and prior professional interactions. And that's where another key detail enters the picture: the timeline spanning multiple years. According to the complaint, the alleged incidents didn't happen all at once. They are described as occurring across several years, from 2016 through 2019. From a legal standpoint, that matters, because multiple alleged incidents can be used to argue a pattern, while the defense may argue delayed reporting or reinterpretation of past interactions. Neither argument determines truth on its own, but together they show why juries, not headlines, ultimately decide outcomes. The question of motivation. One of the most sensitive aspects of cases like this is motive. The defense has suggested the lawsuit is financially motivated, pointing to the size of the damages requested and the shared legal representation with a prior plaintiff. Plaintiffs' attorneys, on the other hand, often argue that financial compensation is the only mechanism the legal system offers for harm that can't be easily quantified. Both narratives exist simultaneously, and the court's role is not to assume, but to evaluate evidence. Why public opinion still matters. Even before a verdict, high-profile lawsuits can have consequences. Studios pause projects, brands reassess partnerships, and public perception shifts, sometimes permanently. Tyler Perry's business model is uniquely centralized around his personal brand. His studio, his writing, his directing, all tied closely to his name. That means any prolonged legal controversy doesn't just affect one film or one deal. It affects the entire ecosystem he's built. And that's true regardless of how the case eventually resolves. The role of media coverage. Another reason this story continues to gain traction is how it's being reported. Major outlets have emphasized cautionary language, allegedly, according to the lawsuit, claims denied. That's not accidental. In recent years, media organizations have become more careful about reporting allegations without presenting them as established facts. That shift reflects lessons learned from earlier eras, when speculation often outran verification. In this case, most coverage has followed that more restrained approach. But restraint doesn't mean indifference. Why the second lawsuit changes the equation. If there were only one complaint, this might have remained a brief headline. But the existence of a second lawsuit, with overlapping themes, changes how the situation is perceived. Not legally, at least not yet, but socially. Patterns draw attention in ways isolated claims often don't. And while similarity does not equal proof, it does invite scrutiny. That scrutiny is now firmly on Tyler Perry and the institutions around him. What happens next? Procedurally. From here, several things could happen. Motions to dismiss, attempts to move the case between jurisdictions, discovery requests, and potentially, settlement discussions. Many cases never reach a jury. Others take years. At this stage, no outcome is guaranteed and no conclusions are justified. But one thing is clear. This story is no longer going away quietly. The bigger conversation beyond one name. Ultimately, this lawsuit is about more than Tyler Perry. It's about how power operates when careers depend on access. It's about what accountability looks like at the highest levels. And it's about whether the industry has actually changed or just become better at managing controversy. Those questions don't get answered in a single courtroom. They unfold slowly. Case by case. The takeaway without a verdict. As of now, these allegations remain just that. Allegations, No court has made a ruling, and Tyler Perry's legal team continues to deny all claims. But even without a verdict, the story serves as a reminder of how influence and access can complicate relationships in Hollywood, and why accountability structures matter. Whether you follow Hollywood news closely or just casually, it's worth asking, how does the industry balance opportunity and power? And what systems exist to protect people while respecting due process? Why the story continues to matter. It's easy to focus on the headlines, the lawsuit, the dollar amount, the names. But the larger discussion is ongoing. How studios respond to allegations, how mentorship and career guidance are offered, how public figures navigate legal and ethical scrutiny. These are questions that affect everyone in the entertainment world, from actors and crew members to executives and audiences. And as new developments unfold, media coverage will continue to evolve. Mini rehook for viewer retention. You might be wondering, could this affect upcoming projects at Tyler Perry Studios or the Madea franchise? While it's too early to know, industry insiders often watch lawsuits like this closely because even procedural delays or settlements can shift creative timelines and studio plans, and that's exactly why viewers keep returning. Each new update can change the story dramatically without any verdict required. Closing thought. High-profile cases like this are about more than one individual. They're about influence, opportunity, and accountability in complex industries. And while the legal system will determine what's proven, public discussion and critical thinking are part of how we process these events responsibly. So for now, this remains an unfolding story. One that will continue to develop, and one worth following with attention to facts, context, and nuance. Call to reflection. AdSafe CTA. If you've been following developments in Hollywood, consider this. Power shapes opportunity, but accountability shapes culture. And understanding both is how audiences and creators alike can engage responsibly with entertainment, without jumping to conclusions before all the facts are in.